Okay, so I had to make a part two to this warm blood evaluation because as I was doing the initial evaluation and then I was watching it, I saw something that answered a question on a problem that I have had in understanding for a long time, and it has to deal with my pony, Jackie Pony. I've done some videos of her. Now, I trimmed the heels out of her for years, and so she got chronic laminitis because that's what this causes. It can cause that, can cause chronic club foot. In fact, you can see in her how she went from a slipper footed, what they call a slipper footed, I guess, laminated course. You know, the toe wants to grow out like a slipper, like Arabian Nights, with a big long laminar wedge. Okay, how she went from being slipper footed to being club footed to being tube footed. Okay, and so um, what happened was as I was doing this evaluation and then I was watching it, I came to understand a structural issue, a mechanical structural issue of what was going on with my pony's feet and what I have seen go on in the feet of a lot of minis because it's really predominant in minis, because they get their heels trimmed out all the time and then they wind up with these with different kinds of laminitis or tube-footed, knuckling over in the front. Not too long ago, there's another video on here, a little bit back of a pony, which you call they're knuckling over. You know, they want to tip over in front, and I'm understanding now why this happens because I did this video. So I want to show this to you now. What I have here, if you remember in the original video part one, I said I like to see pictures of the feet along with the x-rays. So the individual that sent the x-rays sent these pictures here. This is when he first started doing the horse. I don't know how long he's been doing it, but anyway, here's the boy, big nice boy, 5-year old, you know, and here's a picture of his feet. Okay, here's your right foot. You know, now I can tell looking here at this foot that, okay, right here is where his bar ends. Right here. And this is not bar here. This is just sole along the sides of the frog. Right there. So his bar basically kind of ends right here. And that is always a sign, these short, weird bars ending right in here. Let's see, where are we at here? Okay, see, it just goes kind of dead ends right there. Just a second. Yeah, just kind of dead ends right in here. Okay, a bar. Now this right here, this is just sole along the side of the frog that has grown up. That is not bar. Okay, a good bar, if the foot was in the right place, a good bar would go all the way down like this. I'll show you. So there was a couple things I wanted to show you that I didn't show you in the first one that I saw that I needed to explain. Okay, so let's go back to our main page here. Just a second. Where is it? I'll get the paint. That is not it. Ah, here we go. Okay, now if you remember, um, in the first video, I brought this over here, okay, and I showed you how when you trim the heel out of a horse, what happens. Okay, so let's say you come up here and you trim the heel out like this, because the periopal flap on this horse here is going to end right about here. Now, but this horse, he had a lot of frog growing, so he had frog skin down to here. And that's the thing. People need to tell the difference, learn to tell the difference between what is frog skin and what is periopal skin that is stretched down and under, being pulled under the foot. Okay, so what happens is person comes along, trims the heel out, because you see this is no 30-degree hairline, right? Okay, um, so they come and trim the heel out. Okay, now what this does, this part here, that's going to pull this down here. It's going to lower this. Well, that wasn't very good. That's going to pull this wall down here and pull this hairline down like that. See what I'm saying? Already you've trimmed out, by trimming this out, okay, you've pulled this down and you've trimmed out that much of the sidewall, that much of the sidewall of the foot. Let's see. Now, if I really wanted to demonstrate this right, okay, I would also just tilt this whole foot. But okay, so then you come in again, and just a second here, and you trim it again, a little more. Okay, that's going to take even more out, like so. Okay, now I'm not taking this off and tilting the foot, but I'm just trying to give you an example of what happens. There we go. Now, what's happening here too, the foot is getting shorter this way. See? It's getting shorter this way. Well, when it gets shorter this way, what happens? Okay, so slowly, now you got to remember the periopal skin that is attached to the back here. This is stretching and covering up and disguising all the wall you're trimming out. At the same time, you've got cartilage up here that is being compressed in this way to the foot and bent. Okay, but one thing I want to show you, okay, as this hoof capsule is shortening up from here to here, just a minute here. Okay, let's see. Here's your heel buttress, right? Now this is a full foot here. It's got a nice heel buttress. Look at that. Okay, as this is happening, as you are slowly trimming the heel out of the foot here, this area from here to here is getting shorter. Okay, look at the bar. Remember I told you a bar should go from here to mid-frog, end here? Okay, look how nice and long that bar is there. Okay, but as you are slowly trimming the heel out, this is all moving and changing so that, you know, it'll start out like this, like that. It starts looking like that, but then let's say you trim out some more. You got that. See how the bar shortens there? And then what happens is this part of the bar often, okay, now, well, this is all happening gradually. So you're not really noticing exactly what's happening, and most people aren't taking pictures. Like now I probably take 70-80 pictures at each trim. Now I realize that if you're a professional trimmer you can't do this to each foot, you know. So this finally, it can even get so there is no heel buttress here at all right, and this wall here and this bar here merge together to form a completely false buttress. Let's see if I can take out a little bit more here. Okay, see this? See the wall right here? Just a minute here. Let me take a piece of that piece back. Okay, now this wall here can actually grow up and over. I don't know if I can do it here. Like that. Okay, see how now you've formed a false heel here? And so then what do we have here? You can trim the heel out up to the end of the coffin bone, which is right here. Okay, see all of this is cartilage. Okay, so what happens to the heel and to the cartilage and everything like that? It can either be deposited kind of out back on the ground, but the periopal skin, which is right here, okay, here's the periopal skin. This stuff stretches. This stuff can stretch clear over to here. And by then, of course, you have no frog really, just a thin covering of frog that is on the frog corium here. So you never have a healthy frog, for one thing. But all this cartilage gets pulled forward and bound up into the foot. Okay, so I was going to show you my husband's ear. Here's my husband's ear. Your ear's made out of cartilage, right? Okay, now see how he can fold his ears right up? Okay, well, it's the same with the cartilage in the back of these horses' feet. Okay, as you're trimming the heels out, that cartilage can be pulled and pushed and crammed and jammed and shoved forward and compressed and folded right into the back of the foot. And you're none the wiser. But what does cartilage want to do? Cartilage wants to go back right to where it was. So even though the cartilage in the horse's foot has been rammed and jammed and pulled and pressed and crammed, you know, and folded up into the back of the foot as the heels have been trimmed out, what's it wanting to do? It's wanting to come back. Okay? And it's putting all kinds of pressure on the coffin bone that it's attached to, because when it's all shoved in like that, it's wanting constantly to do that. Okay, so we're going to look at a dissection that I did a few years ago. Okay, here's the whole foot right here. Okay, there's one side. I had already cut this little piece out here. The quality of these pictures isn't that good because I didn't have a very good camera. Okay, there's the whole foot, coronary band. Right here is where your heel buttress grows from, right here. Right under here is your frog corium. Okay, you see how relaxed that is? Okay, I'll show you this foot later, some things that I did to it. Okay. Now see, the horse does have a foot. It is not just a capsule with parts in it, like they like to teach you in the anatomy and vet schools and farrier classes. He has a real foot. That's his real foot. Okay? What's inside is not just a coffin bone suspended by lamina. All right? And by magic. Okay. That's the outer capsule, of course, that grows from it. Now, I just want to show you something interesting here while we're going at that. See this? This is the inside of the hoof capsule at the bottom of the collateral groove right here. Did you know that that arch there is covered with the same kind of rubber that your frog is made out of? So real soft. The bars were never meant to grow and bear weight and then jam up into the bottom of the soft part of the foot. See, the soft part of the foot right up in here? That was never meant to be. Bars jamming up in there. Okay. But what I want to show you here Okay, that's the sole corium. Goes to show you how thick it is. Okay, now you're going to see just how bendable this cartilage is right here. Okay, this is where the coffin bone ends, right here. And you see how easy it is to bend it. Now, right there, see how I bent it down? Of course, I cut it right there. But see how I bent it down like that? Just like my husband's ear folding up. See there? All that cartilage, as you're trimming those heels out, gets bound and bent into the foot like this, shortening up the overall length of the foot. Okay, let me show you something here. Remember this? Okay, that's what happened here. All this cartilage just got bent right up in there. Rammed, crammed, jammed, folded in, pressed in, pulled, you name it. Let's see. Okay. See, I'm just showing how movable this is. Okay, here I have removed all the cartilage that's in the back of this foot. The coffin bone starts right here. Okay, all of this is very, very movable, foldable, jammable, crammable, compressible. So, okay, you see this here? Once all this cartilage gets jammed up in here, and to varying degrees on all your different horses, you know, and stuff, then this is about the size of your foot right here. It shortens up the overall foot, and your bars get real short. You see why your bars get short? Okay, because as you trim the heels out, it travels down the bar. Let me see. Right here. Remember? As you're trimming the heel out here, what's it doing here? It's moving up this way. So then you get a short bar. Here, the wall, let's see. The wall here and the bar merge together right here to form a false heel. It's not the real heel at all. So then when you're growing it back, all this right here, you just reverse the process. Okay, people think their heels aren't growing, but what has to happen? The hoof here has to grow, and it has to replace all of this. So of course you're not going to see what you think is a heel right here growing. See? Because that is not the heel, that is the sidewall. So what has to happen is all this has to grow. See, watch. Well, anyway, I guess I must have done that somewhere else. Just a second. Let me see if I can find it. Oh. Let's see. Okay, see how it grows back? Like that. Just like you trimmed it out. Okay, it has to grow back the same way and replace all that wall. Okay, then you know, it'll start to grow out a little down here. All right, but until then you think your heels aren't growing. Okay, because the wall is being replaced right here. So you just have to have patience and let that wall do its thing and replace all the side wall before you ever get any actual heel buttress back here. You got to remember too, this whole area is heel. the whole thing. See? This whole area from the end of the bar, this whole area is heel. This whole area is heel. This whole area is your heels. Quit just looking at this little piece here as your heel. Start looking at the foot start studying this part of your horse's foot. And the length of the bars. If your bars end right here, then your heel buttress, it's all been trimmed out. You have a little false buttress here. That's all your heel. Got to get a different image in your mind of what the heels are and what you are restoring. Okay, now here's the same foot I just showed you, but that other foot, it was fresher. Okay, now so I was experimenting at the time trying to figure out how to preserve the foot, and so I had it soaking in a vat of dry salt and borax for like a week at this point. And actually, it turned into kind of like a leather foot in the end. It's kind of interesting. But so I took it out and I was taking pictures of it. Okay, see, here's where I cut it. Remember how I cut it and then I was bending it around? Well, actually, this is the other foot on the other side. Okay. Yeah, because I forgot. I cut the back of that other foot off. But this is off the same horse. Okay, so I want to show you how this foot was bendable. Okay, see all this cartilage here? Okay, the bone, coffin bone, right here, ends right here. All from here, this is all cartilage. Okay? So it can really be distorted and manipulated. Okay, now here's where I'm going to show you now it's interesting that when I did this and took these pictures, I had no idea what I was really doing. I just thought this was interesting. But it would come into play later as I learned more about the hoof and how we had been trimming the heels out of the hoof and what happens to the back of this foot and the cartilage. So let's go back here. There it is whole. Here I'm starting to bend it a little, pull it up. Now that can happen too. Your heel wall can get jammed and pushed up this way too. I've seen hooves like that. I've seen that distortion as well. Okay, here we go. See how it can be bent forward and compressed under here? This is exactly what happens when you trim that sidewall and support out, and since the hairline, everything is attached to this and to the hoof capsule. Okay, it pulls and folds and jams this under. See there? That happens right there. See how easily that actually came under there? See, and this is to varying degrees depending on the horse, how long the heels have been being trimmed out, how they were trimmed out, you know. Now there's the foot back to normal again. You see that? So let's go back and look at that again. There's the foot normal. Look at the cartilage. Nice and full and relaxed back here, right? Okay, it can be pushed up. It can be pushed under. See that? Look what it does. Now, look what it does to the frog corium. This is when you start getting all these weird frogs and weird frog sulcuses. Central sulcus gets real weird. That's right in here. Looks like a big hairy hole sometimes. It'll also push the frog out, widen it up at the back. Look at that. Now again, your coffin bone ends right here. Make this a little bigger. See there? There's the foot normal again. Let us look one more time. This is kind of what you go through. How cool looking is that? Okay, there's your foot normal. Here's the foot with the cartilage pushed in and pulled under from trimming out the hoof wall. See that? How easy that cartilage folds under there and pulls under there. Okay, now your horse is not walking on back here on a nice heavy duty hard frog. This right here would have nothing but periopal skin on it. Okay, and so you see these, and I see it on my horse too, where the frog has not totally backed up under the foot and the back of the heels yet. How he'll easily tear the periopal skin with a rock and stuff like that. Yep. See, varying degrees of this. And there you go. Okay. Okay, this is the end of part two, and I got part three coming up. So you can understand this